I guess what I would say to you is that we're using too much of criminal actions that result them in prison, or various things that are smaller things that maybe go to jails and not prisons, but the whole system is too big. Sure,
Okay.
what do you want? Yeah.
So the Staten Islander News Organization is here today with Professor Peter Edelman. Professor Edelman is currently the Carmack Waterhouse Professor of Law and Public Policy at Georgetown University Law Center, where he teaches constitutional law and poverty law, and is faculty director of the Georgetown Center on Poverty and Inequality at Georgetown University Law. He has written extensively on the topics of poverty and inequality in America, including the books So Rich, So Poor, Why It's So Hard to End Poverty in America, and Not a Crime to Be Poor, The Criminalization of Poverty in America. He has served in all branches of government, including as a legislative assistant to Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and is issues director for Senator Edward Kennedy's presidential campaign in 1990. During the Clinton administration, he filled various roles, including counselor to HHS Secretary Donna Shalala and then Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation. He famously resigned from the Clinton administration upon the passage of the 1996 welfare reform legislation known as TANF, which has had disastrous and often hidden effects on the real, actual poor people in America, although it may look good on paper. So it's a pleasure again to have you with us, Professor Edelman. So the first question that I had was, have you found that poverty has a significant impact on an individual's access to justice in terms of having adequate representation that would prevent them from being convicted of a crime they didn't commit? So this is on the criminal side that this question is about.
But it seems that you're interested mostly on the criminal side.
Right.
And the question is, well, the short, what I get out of that is low income for people who can't afford a lawyer.
Right.
At the heart of your question?
Yes, that's like the public defenders kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, you know, the system is supposed to be, because of the Supreme Court, that in criminal, you're supposed to get a lawyer.
Right.
Now, in real life, for one thing, there are a certain number of things that are low for small kinds of offenses, minor offenses, and they're just not included. And it could be a lot of people. And also, in parts in the cities, the lawyers are there, but out in the, outside in smaller places, not necessarily. And in small cities, not cities, but small places, villages, actually the the judge is in charge of everything and tells the lawyer what to do.
Okay.
So in a variety of ways, and I'll talk a little bit more at length about that on the criminal side. But the other thing, and I don't know if I told you, but access to justice in D.C., I'm the chair of a commission. Did I tell you that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's on the civil side.
Okay.
we don't do criminal. I mean, I can talk about it and
Right.
written in sometimes, but what we really do, because there is nothing that says you have to have a lawyer on the civil side.
Right.
And the result of that is typically things like, 80, 90% of people who come in don't have a lawyer. And
Right.
it's an enormously problem. And if you sort of ask somebody on the street about that, they all think because of the Supreme Court that everybody has a lawyer when they don't. I mean, somebody who actually gets involved, they know they don't have one.
Right.
And so what we do in our commission is to get more money from our city council and from other places, law firms, to get lawyers, and also to think of ways that just to help people to deal, at least to some degree, on things if they don't have a lawyer. So it's a huge, and it's never going to get good. Because when you have 80, 90%, you just can't get that much money. And you have to figure out other ways to help people. Now, on the criminal side, that connects to something that I think we talked about, and we're going to talk about money bail in a minute, but these minor offenses, which typically don't have lawyers, and couldn't be anyway, because again, those things are, a huge number of people who especially if they got something with their car and they lose their license, which is a major national problem. And we talked about that, I think.
Yeah, we did talk about that, how that's like the first thing that a judge does is takes away someone's driver's license. And a lot of times, I'm assuming this is in towns with horrible bus service and no subways, so
Yeah.
they're gonna walk to work,
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, there's people are working to get states to make them stop it.
Yeah.
And it is somewhat better, but it's a long ways to go. So in a larger sense, the whole criminal side is very not good, because we have too many things that are crimes that really aren't, especially these minor things that could be either shouldn't have them at all, or they could be handled in some kind of a way that wouldn't have them being, into a lock somebody up.
Right.
And also all the way up to the top, not so much at the very top, but the amount that you have to put away is too high. And so the whole system needs to be fixed. Well, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. And I hope a time comes, but you know, the politics, I don't have to tell you, the minute you say that, people get all, you know, and somebody does something bad and everybody got scared, and it's very hard to fix those things. So that's the access to justice thing. Now, maybe you want me to ask something more about that, but the whole system, on both sides, on the civil side, it's partly the low income things that aren't crimes, but they shouldn't be laws at all. But the bigger problem is about not having lawyers. And when we get to an eviction, which you want me to talk about, it's certainly true that we don't handle it. That too many people are losing, but I'll come to that. I guess what I would say to you is that we're using too much of criminal actions that result them in prison, or various things that are smaller things that maybe go to jails and not prisons, but the whole system is too big and it's fundamental, and we don't have a really a strong conversation going on about that the system essentially doesn't work. And of course, it's most difficult or bad for people of colors. And you know, when you look through a person being arrested, you will find for the same whatever the thing was, you're much more for the black person to go all the way through and be in the prison than the white person. So everything about the system is not appropriate for the whole system, black or white, but definitely has a significantly extra in that on black and brown and Indians and so on.
So you would say that, like, in the criminal justice system, when a judge is sentencing a black person versus a white person, it would actually, for the same crime, be a harsher sentence for a person of color?
In general, yes. I mean, not all judges, obviously, not all parts of the country, and but to say that, you know, that there are individual people who are decent, yes. The effect on a person of color has a much more likely when they're arrested. Well, first of all, to be arrested in the first place, that somebody is arrested and the white person goes home. That's the beginning of it. And then going through, the black person is more likely to go to prison.
And you were saying that just before about that the Access to Justice charity that you run or help to run is focused on civil actions, right?
Yes, our own organization in Washington, D.C. Is on the civil side.
Does the civil actions that people face, do those tend to lead to them going to jail as well, or just having like debt bondage, basically?
Well, you don't go to prison on the civil side by definition, but they certainly can get in various things that in one way or another have money is involved. And when we talk about evictions, you find that people in DC, but I think a lot of other places, the evictions are much more heavily on the black and brown sides. And so the whole system is set up in a way that low-income people to start with are disproportionately black and brown. The number who have poverty, black and brown, are higher than white. That's just the basic part. And then all these things that hit the low-income people, one way or another, hit them harder than white people.
And would you say that there are more justice-involved individuals, so people who have criminal records, who are low income than those who can afford a lawyer, whether they're black or white?
Once somebody has been in the system or in the prison, or whatever, but even if they get connected with the money associated in fines and fees, that are really not things about the people, that there's a real problem. It's to get money for in so many parts of the country, just to use the system to get money, because they don't, for reasons that go back for some years, they can't get them on taxes enough to run the things in particularly in cities, and particularly in smaller places, counties, and so on. So the consequence is, if you're somebody low-income person, is likely to get the system to make life even worse for things that come into their lives, and to the point where they get hit by the fines and fees, especially about licensed driving, but not only. And once they own the whole system is that you get more things that they owe, and it gets worse and worse, and to the point in some cases that they never get out of it.